Dear students, hello and welcome. I welcome you to the online course that is Psychology of Individual Differences, and today we will be talking about the self-determination theory of motivation. Students, after going through this lecture, you would be able to understand the nature of self-determination theory of motivation, need of competence, relatedness and autonomy, assumptions of the theory of motivation, traits of self-determinant people, and relevance, that is the implications of self-determination theory of motivation. The self-determination theory of motivation has been introduced by two eminent psychologists, Edward L. Dacey, professor of psychology, and Richard Ryan, professor in clinical psychology at the University of Rochester, for the first time in their 1985 book Self-Determination and Intrinsic Motivation in Human Behavior. The theory suggests that people tend to be driven by a need to grow and gain fulfillment. The term self-determination refers to a person's own ability to manage themselves, to make confident choices, and to think on their own. Self-determination pertains to the motivation behind people's choices in the absence of external influences. It focuses on the degree to which human behavior is self-motivated, self-initiated and self-determined. Self-determination theory suggests that people are motivated to grow and change by three innate and universal psychological needs, namely competence, connection or relatedness, and autonomy. According to this theory, people are able to become self-determined when their needs of competence, connection and autonomy are fulfilled. This theory views that people are naturally curious and seek to have choice in the activities that they pursue. It is related to intrinsic motivation, whereby people are motivated to perform any activity based on the inherent enjoyment of the activity rather than through extrinsic motivators such as pay or other rewards. Self-determination refers to a person's ability to make choices and manage his or her own life. Being self-determined means that one is feeling in greater control. Contrary to it, being non-self-determinant is a feeling that one's life is controlled by others. Self-determination owes to psychological health and well-being. This theory suggests that there are two main types of motivation, that is intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is an urge to act a certain way due to external sources like rewards, recognition. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from within. When we find the task itself rewarding, it is intrinsic motivation. It involves our interests and is usually far more effective and enduring. This type of motivation initiates behavior for its own sake because it is inherently satisfying or engaging. The three needs, competence, autonomy, and relatedness, promote intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the innate human tendency to move towards growth. So far as extrinsic motivation is concerned, it initiates behavior for the sake of getting a reward or achieving an external goal. People who are intrinsically motivated tend to stay motivated in the long term as opposed to people who are motivated extrinsically. It is their personal interest, curiosity, or drive to learn or do something new that belongs to this intrinsic motivation. Here, intrinsic motivation or engaging in activities for the inherent reward for the behavior itself plays an important role in this theory. Students, now let us go through the assumptions of the theory. Two key assumptions of the theory. The need for growth drives behavior. The first and foremost assumption of self-determination theory is that a need for growing as a human being drives behavior. Edward L. Dacey and Richard Ryan hold that people are always actively seeking to grow and to improve. Gaining mastery over challenges and taking in new experiences are very much essential for developing a cohesive sense of self. Hence, people seek out activities that help to satisfy the needs for competence, autonomy, and relatedness to others. As per this theory, motivation for a given activity is determined by the perceived degree to which the activity provides feelings of competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Students, the second assumption is that autonomous motivation is important. Self-determination theory focuses on internal sources of motivation known as intrinsic motivation, such as a need to gain knowledge or independence and wanting to prove yourself. Intrinsic motivation is seen as the better type of motivation for securing personal well-being and advancing personal growth in comparison to extrinsic motivating factors of money, prizes, acclaim, and fame. Self-determined behavior occurs not for the reward or the prize, but rather for self-satisfaction, interest, and enjoyment for the behavior itself. Non-self-determined behaviors are not performed willingly. Students, now let us go through the basic psychological needs. According to self-determination theory, people are driven by three innate universal psychological needs, which include the need for competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Theorists assert that personal well-being is directly related to the satisfaction of these basic psychological needs. For them, failure to support one of these three psychological needs will be having a detrimental effect on one's well-being. It is the social context that can support or block this psychological growth. According to self-determination theory, people need to fulfill the needs of competence, relatedness, and autonomy in order to achieve psychological growth and well-being. Here, we provide the description of these fundamental needs. First, it is need for competence. Students, it is a need to be effective in dealing with the environment. Terming it differently, competence refers to the experience of mastery and being effective in one's activity. A competent person feels a sense of mastery over his or her environment. In order to feel competent, people need to gain mastery of tasks and learn different skills. Competence, in fact, is a term utilized to describe someone who has sufficient qualities to perform a given task, or to describe the state of having sufficient intellect, judgment, skill, and strength. When an individual feels competent, he or she feels able to interact effectively within the environment. They possess the skills needed for achieving their success or goals. Feelings of competence are enhanced when people strive for realistic and achievable goals and receive positive feedback from others. Contrary to it, if tasks are too challenging or a person receives negative feedback, feelings of competence can decrease. Competence is supported when individuals are provided with optimal but realistic challenges and opportunities. This need concerns our achievements, knowledge, and skills. This need, that is competence, seeks to control the outcome and experience mastery. It refers to the urge to control the outcome as well as the control of your own experiences. Edward L. Dacey and Richard Rayon hold that giving positive feedback increases people's intrinsic motivation and therefore leads to a high competence level. Now, students, there is need for relatedness. Relatedness is the need to have close, affectionate relationships. It is to experience a sense of belonging and attachment to other people. In other words, relatedness refers to the need to feel connected and a sense of belongingness with others. It involves feelings of closeness and belonging to a social group. It is demonstrated through social connections and a high concern for others through caring. This feeling of relatedness is enhanced when an individual is respected and cared for by others. Relatedness is enhanced when others show interest in the person's activities, are empathic in responding to his or her feelings. It is enhanced when a person is conveyed that he or she is significant, cared for, and loved. Quite contrary to it, feelings of relatedness are weakened by competition with others and criticism from others. Relatedness is also called as connection. It is the need to interact, be connected to, and to have meaningful relationships and interactions with other people and experience caring for others. People need to have a sense of belonging and connectedness with others. It is what we call as psychological connection. This need focuses on all possible human relations and interactions that are essential for behavior, adaptation, and well-being. Dear students, now there is need for autonomy. It is a need to feel self-governing and independent. Autonomy is the ability to feel in control of one's behavior. It refers to a sense of choice and endorsement in a task. It involves self-initiation and self-regulation of one's own behavior. It refers to being able to make your own decisions. Autonomy is associated with feelings of independence. This feeling of autonomy is enhanced when an individual is given choice and is able to govern his or her own behavior. It is enhanced when other people acknowledge his or her feelings. It is threatened if he or she feels controlled by others. Autonomous individuals choose to work alone and gain a sense of intrinsic motivation from engaging in tasks. Autonomy is enhanced by acknowledging the person's wishes, preferences, and perspectives. Self-determined people feel in control of their own behaviors and goals. In fact, people are empowered when they feel a sense of choice and endorsement in a task. People have a need to feel that they are the masters of their own destiny. It is to feel that they have control over their lives and are in control of their own behavior patterns. In a nutshell, we can say that autonomy is to feel that we have control over what we do. In other words, it is the urge to be causal agents of one's own life. Self-determination helps us in achieving independence, which plays an essential role not only in the overall well-being of the individual but also in their overall psychological health. Edward Deci and Richard Ryan's work proposed three main intrinsic needs involved in self-determination, that is, autonomy, competence, and relatedness. According to Deci and Ryan, these three basic psychological needs motivate self-initiated behaviors. These needs serve for individuals' psychological health and well-being. In fact, when the needs of autonomy, relatedness, and competence are optimally supported, people are more autonomous in their behaviors, are more likely to persist at their behaviors, and feel better overall. In order to experience a sound psychological health, these three needs of autonomy, competence, and relatedness must be met. Self-determined behaviors are motivated by intrinsic rewards driven by enjoyment, interest, or satisfaction. In fact, these are internal drives that inspire or drive us to behave in certain ways. These include our core values, our interests, and our personal sense of morality. Quite contrary to it, non-self-determined behaviors are motivated by extrinsic rewards driven by obligation or responsibility. Self-determination theory views intrinsically motivating tasks as interesting, enjoyable, and spontaneously pursued by individuals. Hence, such motivation is experienced as autonomous and self-determined. Quite contrary to it, extrinsically motivated tasks are pursued because of external contingencies or factors. In the views of Deci and Ryan, the need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness are three universal and congenial psychological needs. When these needs are satisfied, they lead to optimal motivation and growth. When these three essential psychological needs are met, it increases health and well-being. Terming it differently, our psychological well-being and optimal functioning are based on autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Richard Ryan and Edward Deci have asserted that the tendency to be either proactive or passive is largely influenced by the social conditions in which people are raised. Through our better relationships, social support, and interactions with others, we can foster well-being and personal growth. On the other hand, bitter relationships, lack of social support, thwart well-being. Edward Deci also suggests that offering positive encouragement and feedback on a person's task performance can increase self-determined behaviors or intrinsic motivation. This type of feedback, in fact, helps people feel more competent, which is a key needed for one's personal growth. According to self-determination theory, needs are innate but can be developed in a social context or learned from various life experiences and outside influence. Some people develop stronger needs than others, whether it be autonomy, relatedness, or competence. In this way, individual differences are caused. Students, now let us go through the traits of self-determined people. Highly self-determined individuals do possess certain characteristic patterns of behavior. Here, we provide the description of such traits. First, people high in self-determination tend to believe that they have control over their own lives and are in control of their own behavior. Such people have an internal locus of control and feel that their behaviors will have an influence on outcomes. They tend to feel that they can overcome challenges through their own diligence, good choice, personal efforts, and hard work. Self-determined people have high self-motivation. They don't rely on external rewards or punishments to motivate. Instead, they are motivated intrinsically. They are intrinsically motivated to set goals and work toward getting them. This type of motivation initiates behavior for its own sake because it is inherently satisfying and engaging. Next, self-determined people base their actions on their own goals and behaviors. Terming it differently, people with self-motivation or intrinsic motivation intentionally engage in actions that they know will bring them closer to their set goals and targets. Next, self-determined people take responsibility for their behaviors. They take credit for their success and also accept the blame for their failures. It means that they take the responsibility for their actions and don't shift blame on others. They are internally controlled. Now, students, let us see the relevance or implications of the self-determination theory of motivation. Research evidences are there that having high self-determination can foster success in many different domains of life. Self-determined people are found successful in wide variety of areas including education, work, management, etc. At the workplaces, people with self-determination feel more autonomous and hence are satisfied at work. They are also found playing a key role in the organization's success. As a matter of fact, employers can build self-determination in their workers by allowing team members to take an active role, not overusing extrinsic rewards, since this can undercut intrinsic motivation. Offering employees greater responsibilities, offering support and encouragement, providing employees with meaningful positive feedback. Self-determination theory is often applied to the workplaces. A very real link has been found between work environments that support the three core psychological needs, that is competence, relatedness and autonomy, and positive work related outcomes. The theory can help employers to understand how to develop and engage their people. It can help individuals understand how they can be successful professionally. Students, fostering a sense of self-determination also motivates people to excel in competitive settings like sports and athletics. As a matter of fact, athletes who feel that they are capable of achieving their goals and overcoming challenges are often driven to perform better. Excelling in their respective areas allows them to gain a sense of competence and build mastery in skills that are enjoyable and important to them. Students, in school settings, self-determination also works. Self-determined students are more likely to feel motivated to achieve and excel in their academic pursuits. They feel greater levels of competence and satisfaction. Teachers can help foster a sense of self-determination and intrinsic motivation among students by providing unexpected positive feedback when students perform well. It helps them to improve their feelings of competence, avoiding excessive external rewards for actions students enjoy. It helps them improve their internal or personal motivation. In order to enhance lifelong learning, educational professionals need to focus on nurturing students' joy of learning or intrinsic interest. In social settings, self-determination also plays an important role. If people's needs for autonomy, relatedness and competence, the three components of self-determination, are fulfilled, it impacts their social identity and affects their participation behaviors. Hence, self-determination can play an important role in how people function in many different areas of their lives. In fact, feeling in control and intrinsically motivated can help people feel more committed, passionate, interested and satisfied with the things that they do. Ryan and Daisy assert that fulfillment of three basic innate human psychological needs is necessary for optimal human functioning. People who feel more autonomous make better decisions. Students, to sum up, we can say that self-determination is a theory of human motivation developed by psychologists Edward Dacey and Richard Ryan that addresses three universal innate and psychological needs, including the need for competence, autonomy and psychological relatedness. These are three fundamental psychological needs that drive human behavior and form the core dimensions of self-determination theory. Self-determination theory can be helpful in understanding what might motivate your behaviors. Edward Dacey and Richard Ryan assert that individuals have a fundamental need to have control of the work that they do, and this leads to a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. For them, people can become self-determined when their needs for competence, connection and autonomy are fulfilled. Being self-determined Feeling autonomy and freedom to make choices is important for each person's psychological well-being. When people are intrinsically motivated, they feel happier and more capable of making good choices. The theory argues that people will function and grow optimally if these universal needs are met. In order to actualize their inherent potential, the social environment needs to nurture these needs. Dear students, it was all for today. I hope you might have enjoyed this session. Thanks.